I guess it's working. Cup of tea. Customary for workshop Wednesdays to start with a cup of tea. Are we green lining, Carol? Well, we cocked it up again, folks. Another wonderful start to the live stream. That went wrong, didn't it? I don't know why it keeps doing that. It keeps playing the start of a previous live stream when I'm trying to play the theme tune.
Nobody's answered me.
We want the theme tune. So, theme tune scrapped again. We'll reinstate the theme tune next week. I'm going to work hard on the theme tune. Right. Welcome to the Bailey Workshop, folks. For the finale of the lockdown guitar build. Carol's on cameras.
Messages. Bring up the arse.
Yeah. Carol's doing the messages and also switching the cameras for us. So this is the guitar that I've been building. I'll give you a quick recap. So basically, because all our work's dried up, we've got no gigs. We're musicians as well, so Carol sings and I play. We've got no gigs, obviously, because of lockdown. I can't run workshop courses because of the lockdown. So we thought, wow, wouldn't it be a brilliant idea to build a guitar live on YouTube? So this is our YouTube guitar. First time I've done it, live streamed on YouTube. So the entire thing from start to finish. And part one, which was about, well, we're on part 5 now, so let's call it 5 days. 5 days. We've streamed for about 2 hours each day. So I'm aiming for about the same thing today. So once I finish this boring introduction, I'm going to start assembling this guitar and putting it together. And by the end, it's going to be a playing, singing, newborn instrument. So this is the one pickup design, set neck design, as chosen by you guys. So we had a little poll at the start to see what kind of guitar I would make. You guys chose this. Ebony fretboard, mahogany neck, mahogany body. I chose some really nice pieces, quarter sawn grain there on the neck. Absolutely corking. So we haven't decided what we're going to do with this guitar yet. We haven't thought that far ahead. So yeah, we need ideas in the comments for what to do with this guitar when it's finished. Obviously DJ, I know you want it, but I'm not sure it works like that. So yeah, so in a minute I'm going to carry on with this guitar and we're going to get some bits on it, string it up, set it up. I'm going to show you a few tricks along the way. Carol's got a question already.
Well, I'm just saying, you've got people watching from New Zealand, Australia. We've got David Buckner, he's from Florida. I don't think he's watched us before. You've got all the usual suspects, Jan and Marcel in Holland, Parsnip, Tony Potter, Rao, or he's in the
Brazil.
we've got Alec down in sunny Dumfries, Roland Ashdown's on the line, all sorts of people, and Niletron.
Niall! How you doing, Niall? Yeah, how you doing, folks? Thank you so much, everybody, for coming back and joining in, making the comment section look busy. It's all good for the YouTube algorithm. Yeah, speaking of which, if you're not subscribed, that really helps me if you're subscribed. Share it, like it, all that stuff, you know, YouTube stuff. Little disclaimer. Why am I here? I'm here because I wanted to make a guitar when I was a kid at school. My teacher said it was too hard. Now, I went on a long journey after that, and eventually I did make my own guitar. In fact, I ended up getting a job in a guitar factory and I learned how the professionals do it. So to cut a very long story short, I worked there for about 5 years, 4 or 5 years, and then we all got made redundant, and I set up my own workshop with my partner Carol over there, who's operating the fighter controls. Set up my own workshop, and Carol runs training courses for a living and I build guitars.
I did.
She did. So what we realised was, well, we could put the two together and we could run a build your own guitar workshop course. And I realised that, well, I've already trained people in the guitar factory. I already trained people how to carve necks and do that kind of thing. So I thought, well, if I can do that, then I can teach the rest of it. We tried it. Thanks to the first two victims, Nigel Meffin and Lawrence Tressler, who came on our very first course. And here we are, 10 years later. I've had over 400 people now build guitars with me in the workshop. And we decided, about 4 years ago, I decided to film the whole process. So I've broken down what looks like a very difficult job into about 50 or 60 fairly basic, simple jobs that I believe anybody can do. We can do it, can't we, folks? It's easy, isn't it? I've broken it down into jobs that anybody can do. Each job lasts about 10 to 20 minutes. And we filmed the whole thing and put it on step by step into an online course. So yeah, a lot of online courses are pretty rubbish, but mine is full on, in depth. I take you right through the process, starting from a blank piece of paper right through to the finished instrument, with absolutely no messing about, minimum messing about, maximum information. So that's what it's all about. So guitarmaking.co.uk, I've made it my life's mission to show other people how to build guitars. And what I recommend is you start with something basic like this, and then you can build up. In fact, we mentioned Brazil earlier. I've got another of my students in Brazil, Daniel Milo, who, if you look on my Facebook page, not now but later on, go to Guitar Making Facebook page, you'll see Daniel's just finished his first archtop guitar. So
Woo!
From acorns, oak trees grow. With a little bit of knowledge that I can give you, a little bit of knowledge, hopefully you can start basic, work up to make your dream guitar, anything you want. The methods are pretty much all the same. Obviously some guitars take longer than others. So this guitar that I've been building has obviously been a very basic model. This is based on my Bandsman single pickup. It's going to have a scratch plate and a wrap over bridge. So onward. My first job is to locate and mount the bridge. Carol's just pointing out we've been running courses now for 21 years, so I'm not just starting out at this. I am fairly new to YouTube. I've somehow accidentally managed to get 5,000 subscribers. Let me just explain what my YouTube channel only exists because I wanted to promote my website. So for about 4 years, the only things that existed on my YouTube channel were promotion videos for my courses. Somehow we still managed to pick up 5,000 subscribers. Well, 4,500 subscribers. We're aiming for 5,000 now. So this lockdown live build has kind of kicked us into gear. The YouTube algorithms kicked in, and I've discovered I actually quite enjoy it. So I feel like I've kind of come full circle. When I first left school, I would often go busking to earn some money with my acoustic guitar in the subways of Coventry City. I would go busking. Actually, busking once restored my faith in humanity, but we'll talk about that another time. Busking is I think it's an honest way to make a living. You're doing something, you're entertaining people. I was amazed how generous people were. You know, you could make good money busking. And I often picked up some strange tips like cans of lager, the odd spoon, that kind of thing. So here I am again. We've come full circle. Now in the future, I'm busking again. Busking on YouTube.
Yeah.
Now building guitars for a living. And hopefully the idea is basically I want to inspire you guys to have a go yourself. So watch today, and I want you to go back through after this. I want you to go back to part 1 and watch the whole thing through. And you can see me build this guitar completely from scratch, from blocks of wood to the finished product. So I'm not going to waste any more of your time. Let's get on with it. Do some woodwork, Mark.
Can we see the finish?
Yeah, so I've put a couple more coats on in between. The last thing I did on day 4 was apply a coat of oil. So I've done a few more coats of oil. Looks gorgeous, eh? Now, because it is oil, it might get a little bit grubby as I'm working on it. So I'm going to show you a little trick to clean it up just before we put the strings on. All right, guys, let's do it. So mount the bridge. We're going to need some close-ups for this, Carol. I'm going to de-tack this masking tape so I don't damage my finish. I'm going to mask up this area behind the bridge. One thing I want to point out, guys, is that I've used the absolute bare minimum of tools on this build. I've got a whole workshop of amazing tools here, but I wanted to show you that it can be done with just basic tools. So I have the video essential tools for guitar making, which you can find on this channel, and that will goes through all what I think is the minimum tools that you'll need. So you'll need a tool to do every job. So keeping it to a minimum, I'm just using 1-inch tape. Obviously if I had 2-inch tape I could use that and that would be twice as fast. I'm going to mark on a line for the side of the neck. Maybe an overhead shot would be good for this. I'm going to be doing some close-up work on the frets later, folks. You're definitely not going to be able to see as good as you can on the course. So when we filmed these kind of jobs on the course, we get close-up photographs and we've got a close-up lens that we put on the camera, and we can get really good angles and shots of every job a little bit better than we can do on our live stream here.
A little bit better, sorry.
But we're doing our best. Poor old Carol's over there with a broom up her bum. There's no centre line on this guitar, so I need to mark a new one. So I'm going to use the lines from the side of the neck there to mark a new centre line. So I'm marking.
Put your little camera somewhere, please.
Oh yeah, on day 4 we introduced this super close-up camera. So we've got this now. What can you see there?
Very close.
Okay. So here's the side of my neck. That's my scale length mark. Here. It's blurry. So I marked off 25 inches for my scale length. I've got a centre line so I can use my drafting square. To square this across. Let me show you the bridge that I'm going to use. This is a Wilkinson wrap-over bridge. We do have a tune-o-matic version. If you used a hybrid gauge of strings or an unusual gauge of strings, you might need each saddle to be adjustable. Here's the tune-o-matic version. This is a Goto 510. Yeah, this one here, the wrap over, the intonation's kind of built in. There is a little bit of intonation adjustment here on the B and G, and also we can adjust these grub screws here, so we can set the intonation perfectly well. If you use standard 9 or 10 gauge strings, these bridges are ideal. So Trevor Wilkinson's a clever man. He's made it easy for us. all we have to do is measure 6mm or 1/4 of an inch back from the scale length line, square a line across, and that's the centre of our mounting posts. So it's 1/4 of an inch past the scale length on this bridge, guys. Now the posts are 82mm apart.
I'm going to change the angle.
So 82mm from centre to centre. So if I mark on my piece of wood, it's 82. So I'm going to centre it. I'm centering it using the neck here rather than the centre line. This is the actual side of the neck that I transferred down. I'm going to mark 41mm either side. 41,
It's a little bit low.
41. We had a good shot there and you just moved it.
No, your hand was so big.
41, 41.
Do that again.
I'm going to mark it, the punch, just gently, and then double check. 41, 41. Oh, there's nothing like doing this live on the internet, folks. You only get one chance. If I get this wrong, then the bridge will be in the wrong place. The guitar won't play very well. So that's blurry, Carol. Can we have a different shot?
Same to you.
Zoom out a bit.
A little.
If we don't get this bridge in exactly the right place, then the guitar might not play very well. If we get it too high or too low, then the strings will hang off the side of the neck. We've got a bit of adjustment front and back, but it's really important we get it centered. So I marked the lines from the side of the neck and everything went from there, these lines here. So there's my marks. Now I'm going to put my bridge on and check for a, this is like a triple check. It looks like they line up okay.
Right, overhead.
Okay. And so now I can drill those holes. So shall I use the pedestal drill or shall I do it on the bench? I think I'll use my pedestal drill. On the online course I do it all on my bench. So if you want to see that, then you can sign up on for the online course. To get on the online courses you need to become a premium member, folks, the guitar making. So that's it, sales talk over.
I think it's Nylotron. I think Niall says the ruler on the desk with the blue stripe, we left that when we were back in Coventry.
Yeah.
We left that in the workshop, so it's good to see that you're still using it.
Yeah, same one now. I've still got the same one.
He says he left it.
Oh, he left it.
You're welcome, he says.
Oh, thanks, Niall. That is a very good point, actually. A lot of tools in my workshop have been donated or given to me by people on my course, students. If you think that you can't do this because... Carol, why are you shaking your head?
I'm smiling at you.
If you think you can't do this because you can't afford the tools or you haven't got the tools, you'd be amazed if you put the word out there that you're going to build a guitar and you need XXX, whatever it is you need, you'd be amazed what shows up. You know, people love this and they're only too glad to help if they've got something that you need and they know that you're going to use it. It's fantastic.
Quick question about the bridge.
I'm going to drill some pilot holes first and then I'm going to drill the actual holes. Can we have a shot down here, Carol, please? Pilot holes. So now I can check. We'll call this a fourth check then, shall we? A final check using those holes to make sure everything's lining up. Okay.
Still. Light's a bit rubbish.
Rubbish light. Sorry, folks.
I don't know why it's not so good today.
That might help. That helps a little bit. Anyway, you take my word for it. You can check it and check it until you're happy that the position is absolutely bang on, and now we can drill it. So this bridge fits onto, these are what we call ferrules. So I think that's probably, it looks like 11 mil. I'm going to drill a test hole first just to be sure.
TV has asked a question about why do you prefer the Wilkinson wrap over, just out of interest. Why do you recommend it? You might need to say that again.
Okay, the question is, why do I like this Wilkinson wrap over? I'll tell you why. Because we only have to drill 2 holes. Bingo, job done. How easy is that? With any other kind of bridge, well, with a Tune-o-matic, Gibson style, you've got 4 holes. Okay, that's easy enough. A Strat style fixed bridge has got 7 holes usually, or 5 holes. It's more holes, more marking out, more chance to go wrong. So this 2 holes, job done. That's why I like this one, and also it's an excellent bridge. I'm going to drill a test hole first in this piece of scrap wood. Always do a test. Go. Let's test fit. Oh dear, I put the wrong drill in. I think I must have put 10.5 in.
Too busy telling me off.
Or, no, I didn't. I put an 11 mil in. So it must be a 12 mil hole.
What do I always say? Check the drill before you...
Well, that's why we do a test.
Wow.
But imagine if I drilled that in the guitar. It'd be a lot more difficult now to widen it out. So always do a test, folks. Because they do change the sizes of these parts. So these used to be 11 mil, now they're 12 mil.
Yeah, they do that, don't they?
Yes, they do that. So that's a perfect fit. It's just a little bit tight. Perfect. We'll end up tapping that in with a hammer. Ready to go. So I'm going to drill those. All we need to do is set the depth. I'm going to drill down about
Hold on.
20 mil. So I'm going to go like 21 or 22 mil, because there's nothing worse than just not quite going deep enough. Let's put something to protect the back of the guitar. So you can't see this, but I've got a depth gauge around the back. I'm going to set to 21 mil. We could just put a masking tape flag on. Okay. Now we have a long drill, so it doesn't need to be this extreme, but this is mine. I'm going to drill through into the cavity. This is for an earth link wire to the bridge. So I'm aiming at this hole here.
Diego's shop is asking, did you have to fill the body before you oiled it?
No, I didn't fill the grain. It's just a very quick open grain finish. Very tactile. It's a lovely finish, but it doesn't. It's not like a satin gloss or anything like that. It's not like a sprayed, built-up finish. I better check the depth of those holes, I think. There's a bit of a burr there as well. I'll see if I can just get rid of those. Yeah, I've got a deburring tool, but I'm not going to use it because you guys might not have one. But I'm sure everybody's got a scrap of sandpaper, haven't we? So we can use that instead. I'm just taking the burr off there, guys. Tidy it up a bit. Now I'm going to double check my depth because I'm frightened. I'm a bit worried I didn't drill quite deep enough, so we can always double check. It's just 20 mil.
So Diego says Diego shot says the body looks amazing.
Thank you, Diego.
It does, doesn't it? Actually,
Yep, I
It's
agree.
beautiful. That never gets boring.
You didn't see where I put my drill, did you?
Is it on the chair? That chair?
No.
Drill bit.
Oh, it's in there still. Full. Yeah, I'm not convinced I drilled deep enough, so I just want to touch the drill into those holes.
Right, so I've got parts of it, but I'll get him to come back to your question in a bit. Jan is saying, would it be an idea to put a thin sheet of metal on the body whilst drilling? Is it better to be safe than sorry?
Yes. Yes, that would be a good call to protect the body while you're working on it. What I tell people on the course is I emphasise a lot about not moving tools over the guitar unnecessarily. I guess I get a bit blasé because I've been doing it for over 20 years, so I'm very careful not to drop a screwdriver or anything on top of the guitar. Having said that, watching me drop it now. Here's my black wire. Let me show you the magic wire. This is pullback wire. So look at this. Ready? Yeah. Oh, look at that.
Let's get a bit closer.
Oh.
Stop, keep still.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to keep still.
I am still. It's you. Right, so this is pullback wire, guys. It's pre-tinned, and all you've got to do is pull it back. What are you doing?
Trying to zoom in on it.
Well, don't. It was quite all right. It won't go in any further than that, otherwise it blurs. Right. So pullback wire, guys. You don't have to tin it. It's pre-tinned. Look, you just pull the wire back. That saves me a lot of time. You can get that from Tone Tech. Bill from Tone Tech, he got this in on my recommendation. So you can go tone take, get your wire, and thank me for that, guys.
But it doesn't say it's pre-tinned. What's it called?
It's pre-tinned. It's pullback wire. You'll see it. It's good stuff. It's the best, because imagine how much time that saves. Yeah, brilliant. I think we've had enough close-up of the wire now, Carol. We can zoom out a bit. Isn't the camera work fantastic, guys? Can we have a thumbs up for Carol on the cameras? Lightning fast responses. So here's my pullback wire. I'm feeding this in. I'm going to pull about an inch of it back like that, and then feed it into the hole that I just drilled. So this is the earth link hole. I pull the wire all the way through. Carol, they need to see this. I pull the wire all the way through, and just the bare wire is in the hole. Can be a bit tricky. So I'm going to pull the cloth through until just the bare wire is sticking out, and then we stick the pin down on top. So that is our earth link connection to the bridge. I'm going to put the other pin in, and then we can tap those in with a hammer. Soft faced mallet. If they're a bit tight, just put a bit of wax on them. They're going in fine. All the way in. Brilliant. Okay, so fret dress. Yes, that is the easiest kind of bridge to fit, guys. That's why I like using it on the course. But you can do any kind of bridge you like. It's always worth doing a little test fit. Beautiful. I'll take that off for a bit. Put it to one side. So the fret job. So last time, if you remember, I leveled these frets. I showed you a little trick how to do that. So the frets have already been leveled. In fact, I did a little bit of Blue Peter style this morning. Leveling the frets, then we recrown the frets, then we have to sand the frets, and then we dress the fret ends, and then we polish the frets. So that is a very long, drawn out procedure, which it takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So I did not want to bore you guys with that. It's very repetitive and very boring. But I saved some. I saved the last 3 for you, just to show you. So these have been done up to a point. They've not had their final polish yet, but they've been leveled and then recrowned. So let me show you recrowned. So leveling the frets, I showed you a trick to do that. I've got all kinds of tools, but basically we need to check that there's no high spots. Can you see that? Beautiful. The ruler's not touching any frets. But Carol, zoom out a bit please. But if I put the ruler on about the 10th fret there and hold it down, can you see that little bit of fall away? That's an ideal shape for a neck. It's actually quite a natural shape that emerges if you follow my instructions. I'll go into more detail again on the full online course, but that's all I'm going to say for now. The frets need to be level. When I say level, I mean no high spots. A little bit of fall away all the way along, and preferably, sorry, a little bit of relief all the way along, preferably a little bit of fall away at the end like that. So I tell you now, this guitar's going to play fantastic. So once the frets are level, they need to be recrowned. So I've got a file for that. This is a file which is curved. Curved file. So what we do is we file the frets to remove the flat spot along the top. So I doubt very much whether you guys can see any of this, but as I say, at the risk of repeating myself, you get full sexy close-ups of this, and you'll get to know exactly what it is I'm talking about and exactly what it is I'm looking for. That's good enough for now. So once they're filed, that's called recrowning, because leveling the frets puts a flat spot on top and they need to be made round again. So we recrown them with a file and then we sand them. So I use just another file and I wrap sandpaper around it. So that's how I sand my frets. A quick sand. I should say as well, before we sand that way, I always sand this way. So we sand the angle first and then we sand over the top. If you do it the other way around, the frets feel sharp. So we do it this way round, it starts taking the sharpness off for us. These frets already feel great. This is 800 grit sandpaper, and I use a fresh piece for every fret. It's wet or dry sandpaper, so it's made for polishing. I'm just using it dry, obviously. So I've already done this to the rest of the frets. I'm just demonstrating these three for you. The next thing to do is to dress the fret ends. Just spotted a little gap under that fret. Can you see that, guys? So that's not going to get through quality control. I need to fill that. We can use black filler or super glue for that.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. Can you... Yep, no, that's brilliant, Carol. Thank you. So what I do is a little downstroke and a little upstroke on the side of each fret, just on that fret end, to take the sharpness off. Yep, you would probably want to protect your guitar at this point. I'm just going to use a bit of cardboard and masking tape, because I don't want to stab my guitar, do I, with my file. I'll turn it round and repeat on the other side. And then my frets are now ready for polishing. You can use a Dremel. You've probably seen people polishing their frets with little machines. I'm going to do it by hand. First of all, artificial wire wool. So this is grey Scotch Brite. It just needs a quick rub. Now at this point it might show up any super glue, anything that's on the fretboard can be picked off now with a blade. Get rid of any super glue. Give it another quick rub. Right, so that's, the frets are now ready for polishing. I'll turn it round again.
Whilst you're doing that, Jonathan White's just asked, what's the best way to deal with fret sprout?
Right, fret spout, I imagine what you mean is where the fretboard has shrunk and the frets, obviously because they're metal, they don't shrink. Wood can move, but the metal can't. So sometimes the wood dries out and it leaves the side of the frets sticking out. So if that's the case, all you've got to do is get some sandpaper. What I would do is get like an old credit card. Have you got one, Carol, behind you? If you get an old credit card or any kind of sanding block will do. I like to use these old phone cards, and stick some sandpaper to it. So 400 grit will probably do. You can just wrap some paper around it, and then you would sand the side of your frets down like that. Obviously mask up your body so you don't scratch your body, and then you need to get a little file to dress the fret ends. So fret end dressing file. If you came on our workshop course, you'll remember. This is my favourite one, but there are lots of different types. Yeah, there's close-ups of this. Actually, you can get the... I've got a book on the website, Essential Tools. You get that for free if you sign up, where you get close-ups of all these tools. But yeah, you'll need a fret end dressing file to just take the sharpness off, and then a quick go with you can sand them and polish them just like I've showed you. So I'm going to use the finest wire wool you can buy now.
One more quick question.
Down here, Carol.
Yeah. EP says he's seen people protect the fretboard with blue tape whilst they're dressing frets. Do you think that's a good idea?
Yeah, especially if you've got a lacquered fretboard, then it's essential. What I'm doing is I'm polishing the fretboard at the same time, so it would masking tape would actually get in my way now. I'm polishing the fretboard at the same time as the frets. So I give it a really good rub. Now on the course, I say 30 rubs on each fret. I'm not going to bore you guys with that. Counting to 30, 22 times. That isn't good for YouTube, is it? So I'm going to just very quickly, as quick as I can. Now you could use a buffing machine for this, as I said. But I'm just trying to show you methods that you could do at home without spending a fortune. All you need is the wire wool. And you'd be amazed how shiny these. It's 99% as good as buffing with a machine.
Gigi's saying he remembers you being very fussy about fret dressing.
Well, for me, this is the most important part of the guitar. It doesn't matter how beautiful your piece of wood is, or how much you've spent on your pickups and your fancy gold hardware. If your fretboard isn't right, the guitar's no good. Waste of time. So this is the most important part.
Jan's asking how many zeros, how fine is it?
So this is 5 zeros.
Yeah.
That's about as much as I can count to. So it's just as well. That's why most of our courses are 5 days long, because I can't count to 6. Seriously though, truthfully, what we find is that after the 5th day, on day 6, people start to get tired, especially me, and that's when mistakes start to creep in. So it's better to have a day off, have a rest and come back to it.
Diego Shock has asked, does the wire wool against the wood grain shown anyway? So does the...
It's not ideal at this point, look, it's getting grubby. But it's going to come off in a minute. I'm going to clean it all off. So it doesn't go into the wood now, because I'm not rubbing the wood. If I was to rub the wood with that, it probably would go into the grain, but I'm not going to. So it'd be fine. And there we go. What I can tell you guys is that feels like a cloud. Feels like a cloud, folks. So I'm going to clear my bench off now. Let's put the guitar on a stand, clear my bench off. I'm going to have a bit of a clear up. I need a clean bench to carry on. Yes.
Okay, so Parsnip Fingers.
Questions?
Parsnip Fingers asked a while ago, but I was saying, he was asking about through necks and sustain. Is there an advantage to a through neck for sustain for bolt as opposed to bolt and set necks? And sort of what's the point of a through neck then? You know, if there isn't.
Yeah, so a through neck is, you know, the law of guitar making says that it goes bolt on, set neck, and then through neck. As indications of quality of the guitar. It doesn't really work like that. You can get a bolt-on guitar that will knock the socks off a through neck guitar, but generally speaking, because the bridge and the nut are all mounted to the same stick, it should theoretically give you more sustain. Obviously the main disadvantage of a through neck is if something goes wrong with the neck, the whole thing's trashed, whereas with a bolt on you can just screw a new neck on. A set neck, you can remove the neck as well. With a through neck, you're pretty much stuffed. So it's
So what about sustain then?
yeah. So that's what I said, because they're both attached to the same piece of wood. You should theoretically get more sustain, but it's not always the case, folks.
And if your neck join's good.
So I've been working on my hair. What do you think, guys? I got some new stuff. I got some stuff for YouTube, because everyone's telling me to cut my hair, so I ain't gonna cut it. But I thought I'd try and make it look a bit better for you guys. It's not working, is it? Let's face it.
Have you had another question?
Another question.
Right, what's your favourite material for a nut?
I'm going to use this tusk for a nut. And as soon as how you brought it up, let's fit that now. Here, look. Tusk nut. Zoom in over here, Carol, please. What I've done is I've stuck some sandpaper to the bottom of this one. Look.
It's because you moved too quickly.
Stuck some sandpaper to the bottom of this one, so I can just rub that on here. Sometimes you get a bit of lacquer build up or finish build up in there, depending on the guitar, obviously. That needs to be, the nut needs to sit there with no gap underneath it. I keep moving because I'm trying to build a guitar.
Right. Sorry, did you answer the question about what's your preferred material?
So this is my preferred nut material, guys. This is Tusk or Graphtec. It's made by the Graphtec folks. I did talk about this in a previous live stream, but I don't like using bone
Oh yeah.
for various reasons. Carol's a vegetarian for a start.
It stinks. It's smelly. Horrible.
Bone's horrible to work with. So we want a nice solid fit there with the nut with no rock. Sometimes you need to run a chisel to get any excess. You'll notice I keep my hands well out of the way. So that'll do for me. Nut, solid, no gap, lovely. Okay, I think what I'll do is give it a last clean up and then I'm going to start assembling it. So I wanted to show you a little trick that we've discovered. Sometimes this oil can get a bit sticky, especially if you've been working on it like the same day. I put a coat on this morning, so it's not fully dry, let's say. What I found is that if we just put a coat of lemon oil on, so this is fretboard oil, we're just going to rub it all over with lemon oil, and it makes it feel amazing, and it also makes it smell lemony. So added bonus. So I'm going to put lemon oil on the fretboard, and also I'm going to do the whole guitar with lemon oil. Just a very thin coat. It just takes the stickiness off. It's a very low build, even more tactile finish. Look at that. you just wipe on, wipe off. And I will put one more coat on the fretboard before the guitar's finished. With fresh wood, you need to put 2 coats on. Yeah, it will go matte when it dries. And then I'll do the same. Look at that. I don't know if you guys can pick that up, but just this Danish oil feels sticky. And then a quick rub with the lemon oil and a buff. Hopefully you can see it cleaning up. Obviously you don't do this with a lacquered finish, only with an oiled finish. And I can tell you now, I'm going to just get a dry bit. That feels, wow. Oh yes, now it feels dry and ready to go.
Oliver Jensen is saying, does the wood impact the tone as much as some manufacturers would have you believe?
No, I'm sure it doesn't. No. I'm pretty sure at some point, folks, they're going to ban wood altogether. Or maybe only they'll have like plantation grown stuff. God knows. But I think, especially with the, with the advent of 3D printing, if they can start printing a good quality material that sounds good, then why not? I don't know. It's a different way to do it. We're using like a subtractive method where we start with a lump of wood and we remove the bits we don't want. Now nothing's wasted in here. We reuse everything. So the offcuts get turned into ukes, or the very worst is can be used for firewood to keep us warm on our wood burner. So we've got a visitor, folks. Carol, why don't you go out to talk, because we can hear you. So, hi Moira. Moira's come to visit. Carol can deal with that while we carry on with this, eh? I'm not very good at dealing with the human beings. Carol's good at that kind of thing. Absolutely gorgeous though. I can tell you, this piece of wood feels amazing. There we go. Wow. Thanks Moira, whatever that was. So yeah, I did warn you guys that anything could happen. We thought the postman might turn up or something. We wasn't expecting Moira.
Moira is.
Yeah, Moira actually, she came on the course. Moira's she's a retired nurse and she came on the course a couple of times. She made a really nice acoustic guitar and a ukulele. Right, I'm going to wire this baby.
Right, we've got a couple of questions.
Let's plug my Soldering iron in.
Does the wire wool affect the fretboard wood when you're cleaning the frets?
Nope.
Okay.
Well, it polishes it at the same time as the frets. So I guess it does affect it. It makes it shinier. It makes it. It's kind of the last finish on it.
Okay.
Look at that.
Does the smell of lemon oil? EP says, does the smell of lemon oil go away when it's dry, or do you get this permanent citrus guitar?
No, eventually. Obviously, it does fade over time, but it is nice if you supply it. For me, if I'm a guitar maker, I supply a guitar. When the guy opens the case, if he gets a waft of lemon. That's nice, isn't it? It's a nice thing, we think. Obviously, we hope you're not allergic of lemon, otherwise we're in trouble.
Right, we've got...
So I'm going to start putting the bits on, guys.
Do you ever use wax over the oil? For the body, I guess.
Personally, I don't use wax because wax, again, it can start to feel sticky. Especially when it gets warm. Like if you're on stage, getting hot and sweaty, your guitar will start to get all sticky. So I don't like that, because the lemon oil just doesn't get sticky. It feels absolutely frictionless, I tell you. And considering it's fresh as well, it just feels amazing. And I could eat it. You could eat off it.
Stefan Pitchler is saying, have you ever tried the, is it Katana fret leveling system or something like that?
No. Not sure what that is.
Um,
Send me one, guys. Send me the Katana system and I'll try it. I'm sure it works perfectly well. Like I say, every guitar maker has got his own way of doing things. I'm showing you the very basic methods that I've developed over the years. We use lots of different methods in the workshop depending on what we're trying to do at the time. So what did I say? We're wiring up the guitar. Can I not film the top of my head for a bit? Guitar. Right, here's all my bits. When you're building a guitar, it's a good idea to have all your bits handy. Oh, we didn't swap this over. Carol, there's a surround, humbucker surround. A rear humbucker surround.
Where?
Because it's the front one.
Where is it? Attached to a pickup.
No, I've got it out ready. I'll see it.
Marcel's asking, can you use oil on a stained body?
Can you use oil on a stained body?
Or will it get messy?
I don't do it. Some people do it. I don't recommend it because whatever colour you put on tends to go quite watery after you've put the oil on. So you lose the vibrancy of the colour and it can come off on your clothes. So I don't like to put colour on if I'm using an oil, but some people do. It's not against the law. I would say if you want to put any kind of colour on, spray the guitar. That's what we do.
EP has asked, does Mark like the idea of the Evertune bridge?
Is that the Wilkinson one? Or
Sure.
the Gibson one? Do I like the idea? I've got nothing against it. Anything that helps people pick the guitar up, why not? But for those of us who haven't got, I'm imagining it's the self-tuning bridge that will tune itself. For those of us who haven't got that, then we have to learn how to tune it by ear, don't we? Or use a tuner. There's nothing wrong with that either.
Tried the self-tuning tuners, haven't we?
Yeah, if you search for self-tuning guitar on my channel, you'll see that we've used the tuners.
Amazing guitar.
What are they called? The self-tuning tuners. You can program in like a drop D and a open D and different tunings, and at the press of a button all the tuners move. I mean, that's entertainment, isn't it? If nothing else. But it's another one of those things. I think it seemed like a good idea, but most guitar players, we're kind of traditionalists. Most guitar players are quite traditional guys, and we like to keep things the way they are. Having said that, it's got to be the future, hasn't it? A self-tuning guitar. Maybe in the future, guitars you won't even have to play it; it'll play itself as well.
They got that, they improved them, didn't they, on the prototype?
Yeah, the main problem with the self-tuning stuff is what I found was I would occasionally trigger it by mistake, and it would retune my guitar in the middle of a song, for instance. Not ideal.
But the plus was you could preset it, couldn't you? But that Mark Screeton's custom guitar was amazing with those on. It was amazing. I can't remember what they're called. It'll come to me. Have you ever used gun oil on a neck or body?
No.
Didn't somebody did?
Yeah, we can use gun oil. Gun oil's absolutely fine. It's just another grade of oil, another good quality oil. There's quite a few different ones you can use. I'm just using Danish oil because it's the only one we could get in the zombie apocalypse. We couldn't get. My particular favourite is Liberon, and that was referred to me by Andy Manson via a guitar that was made for him. So a guy had a guitar made, actually it might have been Hugh Manson that made the guitar, and it was an oiled guitar, and they used Liberon finishing oil when I found out about it. So I thought if it's good enough for those guys, it's good enough for us.
Yeah, because Danish will take the...
Liberon is a really nice one, it's a lot less sticky. Can we have not the face please, Carol?
Yeah, okay.
So there's my pickup. I'm just going to put masking tape to hold it roughly in place whilst I wire it up. I'm going to keep it really simple. We do have this Rothwell circuit we could use. Andy Rothwell, what a geezer. Look. Bailey custom coil tap. What a geezer. So this is available. The advantage of this is, I don't know if you guys know about a coil tap, but you can use a push-pull switch like this to get two sounds out of one pickup. What it normally does is it turns off one side of the pickup, so you get a single coil sound, but you also, unfortunately, as a byproduct, get a volume drop. So Andy Rothwell worked out a way, very simple little circuit, to get the same effect, similar effect, so it sounds like a single coil but without the volume drop. Amazing, eh? And very kind of him to put our name on it. So he made that for us.
But he also he sells
How cool is that? We're not affiliated in any way. I wasn't expecting it. He just did that. It's a nice surprise, wasn't it?
Yeah, we love them, don't we?
Yeah. So that's an upgrade that we can offer on the course. Here's a volume and a tone. Now there's no difference between them, except I'm going to put a capacitor on the tone, and that's what turns it into a tone control. I'll show you a few little soldering tricks. I've already showed you the pullback wire. So Tone Tech pullback wire. You can also get that from StewMac if you're in America. This is my output wire, so this is less easy to deal with. I usually just cut the sheave with a blade, and then there's a little trick to this. Watch this. So we bounce this, loosen it up a bit, and then I'm going to just squeeze it through. It should come out of a little hole there. Squeeze it out. It's like squeezing a spot. Oh, look at that. Yeah, there's something a bit weird and pleasing about that. And then you can just do that with your thin. So that's my jack socket wire. So that's the hot. If I trace it back, it's going to there. So the other one, by process of elimination, goes to there. Let's do that first. We're going to do as much wiring as we can outside of the guitar, and then I'm going to start putting it into the guitar. So Carol's got a question.
Jan Verhag says, can you have a coil tap and phase switch in one humbucker?
Yes, you can. This was the famous Jimmy Page thing, I believe.
What the question is.
Can you have a phase switch and a coil tap? Yeah, you can, but it might not always do what you expect it to do. I'll leave it there. Controversy. This is a switch tip cleaner. Having a clean tip is the most important thing when it comes to soldering and life in general. What I'm going to do is pre-tin all of these tangs. Obviously you can buy little crocodile clip grips for this kind of thing, but most guitar makers have got 3 hands. So you develop your 3rd hand as you get better. It comes with practice.
Is it grey?
Yeah, you start off with just a little lump, and after a few years it develops into a full grown 3rd hand, which comes in very useful, as you can imagine.
TV 101011 says a warm iron helps. I'm guessing he's talking about the
Hot iron. Obviously you need a hot soldering iron. Right. Get this one from StewMac, guys. Get the StewMac soldering iron. It is awesome. I've left this on. I don't recommend this, but I've left it plugged in overnight several times.
What?
And it's absolutely fine. You try that with another soldering iron, and they don't last very long. I've tried those ones where you've got a station, you know, and a separate iron. Very expensive ones. I've tried cheap ones. Nothing has lasted as good as this one. I've got 2 of these little babies. So I like to pre-tin everything first. Maybe we could get a close-up, Carol. It makes everything stick together easier.
Dude says he hates doing wiring.
Yes, it's not my favourite part of the course, I have to say.
Do you remember Christmas Day and the 16-pin?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
EP says it must be difficult buying gloves when you've got 3 hands.
You buy 2 pairs and you get a spare.
So
Snipping off the excess bits, there we go, folks. Nice and neat. So I've got an oval jack plate for this. I like these oval ones. The important thing is when you tighten it up, so it's got to go straight in line like that. So not like this. It's got to go in line. Well, I feel like we've been going for ages and we haven't got very far.
45.
Let's wire up these as much as we can before we put them in the guitar. So, a volume and a tone. This one's going to be my tone, so I'm going to scratch up the side. Scratch up the top. It took me a while to work out that to get solder to stick to these pots, you need to file it first. Otherwise the solder just won't stick. So this is my volume. I'm going to scratch up underneath the tang and the back of the pot. And where I've scratched, I'm going to add some solder. So when we're soldering, we apply heat and then solder, then we take the solder off and we take the heat off. So gun, solder, solder off, gun off. I'm going to put some everywhere where I've scratched. So the whole thing should take maybe 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. And now the volume is going to be soldered down there. So this tang gets soldered to the back of the pot. That's our volume. So on the volume there's going to be an input from the pickup, and then the output is going to go to the tone. As well as the output. So I'm going to attach that wire together with the pickup wire, and this goes to the input of the tone, so the middle one on the tone. There's different ways to wire tone pots and volume pots. I'm just showing you one way, right? There's different ways depending on what you're trying to achieve. If you've got more than one pickup, for instance, you can have independent volumes or master volumes, that kind of thing.
Diego Shock is asking, has your iron got a flat or a pointy tip, or does it have both?
This one has a chisel tip, a small chisel tip. But I do have a pointy one as well for finer work.
That's the sumac one, isn't it?
Oh, this camera's absolutely pants.
What pots? So there's questions about the pots. What are the pot ratings and what pots do you recommend?
I'm using 500k pots for humbuckers and 250k pots for single coils, basically.
Any do you recommend? Which one is one? CTS.
Yeah, the CTS pots are the ones I use. That's these ones. They're just good quality pots.
Bare knuckle.
You'd be surprised actually. I get electrical engineers and people like that on the course, and they're always gobsmacked how rudimentary and rough really guitar electrics are. They're pretty rough, really basic. It's pretty basic stuff. I'm looking for some black wire. Can't find it. Lost my bit of black wire.
Are we under something?
Oh no, it's still attached to the earth. I'm going to cut a bit off this earth link. That's the earth link. It's extra long. Doesn't need to be that long, so I'm going to pinch a bit of that. And this goes on the back of the volume pot. Connects the pots together. Tone and the volume. Just try and keep all these wires under 4 inches long, and that keeps the signal a lot cleaner. If it's under 4 inches, then it can't pick up. There's certain interferences that it can't pick up.
Martin Geisman is saying he used to do a lot of small soldering, and he always used a chisel tip.
Yeah.
Because he found that the heat transfer from a pointed tip is bad in general.
Yes, I concur. I use a chisel tip on most guitar electronics, unless it's really fine stuff, in which case you might want a point. But it's not the best shot, but that is a chisel tip, as you can see. Yeah, because some of these joints, it's quite a big area you've got heat up, so a point isn't as good. chisel tip's better.
Parsnip Fingers has pointed out that StewMac, any purchases from StewMac, you've got to remember you have to add import tax as well. So that can cost
Yeah,
money.
bite the bullet.
And
Bite the bullet, guys.
And Jan's asking, so he's saying 200, so it's 250k a coil, effectively, does it?
Well, 500k suits humbuckers better. 250k suits single coils better. It's to do with the frequency response. Either way, one is interchangeable. Best move that, otherwise you won't see what I'm doing.
I've been moving it.
Going.
There we go.
Okay. Here's my tone control. Capacitor. Let's put the capacitor on. I can use a bit of offcut of wire and just use the sleeve to just shield one side. And then he's going on there. So I'll clean my tip. Keep your tip clean, and a fresh bit of solder on the end helps. Goes on there. It always takes a little bit longer than you think to go hard, so I always wait a little bit longer, and then that's going on there.
Right, so Deej is saying, have you ever used a solderless system?
Yeah, EMGs are solderless. Everything just clips together. Fantastic, if you ask me. Why not? Okay, so here's my humbucker. Basically, we've got a positive and a negative. That is the series link connecting the two pickups together. We're just going to put some heat shrink over that and forget about it.
Raoul is saying, what capacitor value?
I'm using a 0.2, so you'd usually use a 0.5 or a 0.2. There we go.
And EP is saying, is it best to put copper screening around electrics, or do you not need it with a humbucker?
It is best to screen. You can use copper tape, or you can use shielding paint. Yeah, we call it shielding. Obviously it's non-essential, so I haven't done it on this guitar, but it will cut down outside interference hum a little bit. It does help with that. So now I've got 3 ends. This one's just been connected together and forgotten about, and now I've got my positive and negative, or in guitar making terminology we call it hot and earth. So the hot goes to the input of the volume, and I'm also going to attach the tone wire to the same place. I'm going to put it on this side. there. Bit of solder, and let's pre-tin everything. Where am I? Here.
Can you answer a question?
Yep.
Eddie Cameron says, for sanity's sake, what's the maximum number of guitars you would have on the go at any one time?
Earth to the back of the pots.
Oh, sorry.
For sanity's sake, the most I've ever had on the go was about, I don't know, about 28. But then I lost my sanity a long time ago.
You made 10 for a show, didn't you?
Yeah, the first time when I left the factory, I made a batch of 12. My first batch, I made a batch of 12 guitars. And everyone was different. So there were 12 completely different ones, 3 different types of neck joint. I basically wanted to show off what I could do, so I made one of everything that you can imagine. But the most I've ever had on the go at once is probably about 28. That includes custom guitars, course guitars, production guitars, and I also do repairs as well if I have to.
So did you say, why are pickup wires so thin? It's got a crying emoji.
These things are sent to test us. So all of these black wires, or the earth wires, can just go anywhere on the back of the pot. Basically all the backs of the pots are connected together. It becomes a shield. So these pots are actually shielded, which is why we don't need the shielding paint. They're already shielded. If you do use the shielding paint, then that's what we would call double shielded. Now I just have my earth link to the bridge. Don't forget the earth link to the bridge. Again, just down to the back of any pot. And that's a very basic wiring loom done. I could have got a lot of that prepared before I started, but I wanted just to give you a quick demo on soldering. So this is the last one I'm going to show you. So it's hold it in place, and then it's gun on, solder on if you need to. I'm just using the solder that's already there, and then solder up, gun off. It should take about 4 seconds. No more than that. You can overheat these things. And we'll just check that everything's stuck. Cut off any long excess bits, and we're done. So I can now mount this into the guitar.
It's looking beautiful.
I think I'm going to put the cover plate on while I'm at it. I would normally leave the cover plate off until I've tested the guitar works, but I'm going to I'm just going to be brave and confident, because I'm pretty sure it's going to work. I mean, it's a fairly basic wiring, so if I've done this wrong, then we're in trouble. So nice and tight. Obviously we need to tighten these up before we put the cover plate on, and I'm going to put this on as well. Jack socket. If you remember, you probably don't, but when I drilled this hole, I tipped the drill at a slight angle. That's to allow a little bit of space for this. So we'll probably find it only works one way round. I'm going to get a jack socket and check it. So that works that way. Doesn't work that way, you see. Only works one way. So we'll check that. That's good. And then we'll mark that. Marking the centre of the holes. I like to rest it down like this for drilling. My drill, Carol.
Where's your drill?
I'm going to put a little masking tape flag. The screws are only small. These are screws.
DJ is saying, is there a resource for different wiring configurations?
Yeah, there's millions of stuff all over the internet. Different wiring configurations. Eventually there'll be a section on the website, but as other people have got that covered so well, I didn't really want to spend too much time on that. Other people have already got that covered. There's other websites out there with any just about any electronics and pickup configuration you can think of. Actually, once you get your head round guitar wiring, it's not as difficult as you think. I can usually make it up on the spot, depending on what people want.
Is there anything to watch out for when looking at wiring diagrams? Because there's a lot, isn't there?
Best advice I can give you folks is keep it simple. And let's face it, most people just leave it on their favourite pickup, don't they? Full volume, favourite pickup, and away you go.
Unlike the guitar in the intro video, that massive wire. It was John Pollock's, wasn't it?
Yeah, if you go back to the intro, the promo video, that was made by a guy who came on our course called Mark Screeton. He came with his pal John, and they both made pretty spectacular custom builds. And you'll see at one point the wiring's all exploding out the back of his guitar. Yeah, that's why I recommend, for your own sanity, if we were talking about that, is keep it simple, folks.
Was that the thing at the end of the fretboard? What's it called?
Double check, because you can still put it in the wrong way around. That looks good. We have knobs, Carol.
Yeah, they're on the tray, aren't they?
Yeah. My bench is getting out of control.
Tray has caused much interest.
The tray.
Yeah, Parsnip said it looked like something you'd get served your prison food.
Yeah, where did you get those from?
It's a camping, but they've been useful, haven't they?
Yeah, they're good, aren't they? Well, I'm glad you guys can't see behind the cameras, because my workshop's trashed. I want to show you these knobs, guys. You can even put your knobs on wrong.
Well, that's just don't say stuff like that. I'll do the rules.
See this slot here? You need to put the screw so it goes down the slot, because if you put it any other way, then it will squeeze these together, and yeah, you know what happens. Your knob falls off. There we go. Knobs on.
Yoo-hoo.
Didn't find any strap studs, Carol.
Right. Tell me a little bit about knobs. You didn't want push fit.
I prefer these screw-on knobs because, you know, with a little grub screw. Because sometimes when you're pushing the push-fit ones on, they're so tight, you can actually break the pot. So I prefer these ones. Okay, if you don't like them, you can always change them. Let's put the tuners on. So these are handed. As you can see, we've got left hand and right hand ones. They go this way round. Tuners on. So just to show you again, they go this way round. They're kind of like L-shaped. They don't go this way. They go this way. Okay, so they're handed. Obviously these ones go on this side like that. And I'm going to put them as straight as I can get them. And I'll put the ferrules on finger tight at the front for now. Can we get a better angle, Carol, while I'm doing this?
I think it was Eddie earlier on asked a question about what's inspired you the most when you're building, or I guess he's saying building or in life, acoustic guitar music or electric guitar music.
When I was younger, I used to listen to electric guitar music, rock and roll, Led Zeppelin. From Led Zeppelin to Hanoi Rocks. Anything with heavy guitar. But as I got older, I got more into acoustic stuff. In fact, well, we went travelling for a year. Took a year out after we got made redundant. I went travelling for a year. That's when I formulated my plan. So I went travelling for a year and I didn't have any electricity and I lost my plectrum. So I learnt how to play sort of fingerpick style. Yeah, if Niall's still watching,
No, he's left actually.
Niall had a way of describing my particular style, which we won't go into right now. But let's say I've got my own style of playing. It doesn't involve a plectrum or an electric guitar. Nowadays I play acoustic, and well, preferably I like to play while Carol sings.
speaking there, we used to listen to that finger pickers take over the wood. A lot of Manuel in the workshop back in the day.
Yes, when we're running courses we have music on all day long, but when I'm making films I don't have any music on, obviously for copyright purposes, but also I like it so that you guys can put your favourite music on while you're watching, so you can listen to whatever you want then, can't you?
Jan is asking, is there any special trick to lining those tuners up?
Guitar makers have got 3 hands, and we've got special eyes that are very good for lining things up. So you get good at lining things up by eye, and that's what I did. I lined it up by eye. Of course, if you're making like a factory, the same guitar over and over again, you could have a pattern for everything, including the screw holes. And then the screw holes would pull the thing straight.
We spilled everything with the patterns like that. So Roger Appleby's asking, do you like Dad Gad?
Love it. Do a bit of Gad Dad. Do a bit of DAD F sharp AD as well. That's a Joni Mitchell tuning. F sharp AD. Try that one. That's a weird one.
Did you wax your screws?
I didn't wax my screws, DJ. Well spotted. DJ's pointing out that we should put wax on all our screws as we put them in. What it does is it coats the screw, and it also coats the hole. So it's a good thing to do. Non-essential. It's not going to make it play any better, is it? But it's a good idea to wax your screws. Did we find any strap studs, Carol?
Put them behind the back, funnily enough.
Right, I'll show you what we're talking about. This is just ordinary beeswax. I'm just going to dip the screw in. So when we screw it in, it coats the screw, as I was saying, and also over here at the back, Carol. We could use a felt washer here as well, but I'm not bothering with that. Again, it's non-essential. I'm trying to show you your budget build. Get in there. Screw won't go in. Yeah, I'm trying to show you how you can build a guitar without breaking the bank, guys. So bare minimum. Now we're ready for, well, let's put the cover plate on. While we're at it. Bit of wax on the screws, DJ. I don't normally use a power screwdriver either. I don't think it's worth the time saved, usually. It's not worth risking, because if you slip, and you can drill a hole in your guitar.
Pour a hole.
Yeah, watch as I demonstrate.
Think about myself.
the excess wax here just wipes off. Doesn't do the oil finish any harm. There we go. I've got another cover plate to put on. This is our scratch plate. I'm going to use the masking tape to tape it in place. We're nearly there. When I've done this, we can put the strings on. Looks okay, doesn't it? So it helps to tape it into place so it doesn't move while we stick it on. Pretty cool, eh?
Back press. Darren's there.
Hi, Darren.
Are the body and neck both the same type of mahogany?
Yes, they are.
Because they do from here look.
Yeah, they're two pieces. They never look the same.
We think they're African, don't we?
Yeah, no. To be honest, they are. I'm not entirely sure. But this neck, I selected this neck to be, it was one of the best I've got. I've got a few special pieces of mahogany and this is one of them. But there's more where that came from. Oh, what's that? Postie's bin. Postie's bin, Darren. Darren, there's a parcel. A parcel's come from Darren.
Do you countersink the holes in the scratch plate?
Say again?
Do you countersink the scratch plate?
Yeah. Is that not showing up? Maybe get a close up, Carol.
That before, didn't you?
Yeah, again, I thought about making the scratch plate live. But again, it was time restriction, folks. Time's our enemy here, so I decided to make those cover plates in advance. That's a subject for another workshop Wednesday, eh? Making one of these scratch plates. We'll do that on a workshop Wednesday, because I'm going to carry on doing that.
Right, so
in fact, yeah,
right,
just before you interrupt, Carol, I was just going to say we've been live streaming now on Wednesdays and we've done the odd weekend. I did plan on doing workshop Wednesdays, but I want to know from you guys, what day do you want me to do it? What day would you prefer that I live stream? So it can be Wednesdays, or it can be the weekends, or it can be any day you want. Just let me know.
Because Tony in Australia said they're back at work on Monday because COVID has gone. And this is
COVID's disappeared in a puff of smoke. Isn't that amazing?
In Australia. No, well, Deej wants you to open. People are saying open the parcel, right? But,
right, let's get these strings on them, and then I'll open the parcel. So I'm going to mount the pickup, but what I like to do is to get, well, at least two of the strings on, so that I can line it up. If there's a little bit of room for error there, I can line it up and try and get it as close as possible to under the strings. So we'll put a couple of the strings on, then I'll mount the pickup, and then I'll put the rest of the strings on, and then we're into the final setup. So yeah, we've had a parcel arrived. When when I've done the final setup, we'll have a look what's in there, eh? I've got a sneaky suspicion I know what's in there.
Haven't we? So, and then the other thing is, Bagpress is saying, is that variation in colour normal? No, he's not saying that. He said something else.
Right, I need some strings, Carol.
I put them on the tray. They were on the tray. I've got 2 packets out and I put them on the tray.
There's no strings on the tray.
You must have taken them off then.
Got them here. I'm going to put 10s on, am I? 10s.
So colour variation, that is normal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oliver Jensen's asking, is it a problem to make a scratch plate out of wood?
Yes. I guarantee you that as soon as you put your first screw in, or maybe not your first screw, maybe not your second, but at some point it's going to split the wood. So the answer is to laminate it. You can build up layers. Maybe it comes at like 0.6 of a mil thick, so you want like maybe 5 layers thick. At least 3 anyway, layers of wood. And you can alternate the direction of the grain. It's much less likely to split when you put the screw in. But I don't like wooden scratch plates because they will split. Also, wood expands and contracts, so the screws will stay where they are. If you imagine this expands, it's just going to split around the screws. So it can be done, but you're much better off, if you are going to do that, laminating it. Laminated scratch plate. They can look nice.
The 7 days in the week, Mark, which one do you want off? Parsnips is...
I could do this every day of the week.
He's here more than he is anywhere else during the week. What you have to...
Bridge. Here we go then, folks. This is the moment of truth. You never really know how good a job you've done until you put the strings on. Find out how well everything lines up. What I will do just before I put them on is just a quick coat of oil, lemon oil on the fretboard.
What would be good is if you could, with the overhead camera, move it just over slightly. I'll do that and you can see.
So with fresh wood we put 2 coats on. I'm going to put another coat of oil on there. Lovely. Straight through the hole, round the back, underneath, towards the middle. Job done. I'm going to do another 5, believe it or not.
You're just going to do 2 now.
It's going to make its first noise now. Hey, hey. Straight through the hole, round the back toward the middle, underneath and over. I've got a video which is just all about how to string a guitar up, guys. Most people do it wrong and then wonder why their guitar won't stay in tune. Let's bend those out the way so I don't poke my eyes out. And then I'm going to look at this pickup. So it looks pretty well lined up to me. But I do get a chance at this point just to make any little alterations as necessary. I'm happy with that. Let's mark the position of those. And then drill. So I'll put the drill in the hole. Let's get rid of that tape. I'm going to give it a wiggle to make sure I'm in the hole. And then pin it with one of the screws so it doesn't move while I drill the other holes. Give it a wiggle. Pin it. Now I can drill the others. There we are.
Mike, I was saying, how did you get that Bailey logo on the headstock? I missed that bit.
Oh yeah.
Parsnip said I didn't dare say anything.
I forgot to tell you about that. Lewis put that on for us. Yesterday, Lewis did that for us. The logos are made from Letraset, and there is a link on the course where I show you where we get them from. But you can have your own logos made from Letraset.
Why Letraset?
It's the best thing to use because it's so thin. It doesn't take a lot of lacquer to bury it. So like 2 or 3 coats of lacquer is all it needs. Job done. I wonder how many times I've said job done in the last couple of hours.
I count them. Tell them, why don't you tell them that sometimes you don't use Letraset?
I'll always use Letraset if I can, but sometimes you can just sign it by hand with a pen, permanent marker. That's what we do with our first guitar usually, sign it with a pen. If you really want to go to town, then you can make or buy logos. So these are Bailey logos that we've actually bought. This one's made from gold mother of pearl.
Who made those?
So they're made by Small Wonder. A place called Small Wonder. The guy's name is Mike Reed, and he's the UK inlay specialist. Oops. So I always put 10s on my guitars unless people specify something else. Obviously for a guitar maker, 10s will last longer than 9s. So also the thicker the string, the more more string, more sound, I say. But I did recently see a very interesting video from a guy called Rick Beato. If you check his channel, Rick Beato, am I using the wrong guitar strings? And he's got some very interesting things to say about using extremely thin strings. A lot of our hero guitar players use ridiculously thin strings, like 8s or even 7 gauge strings. And Rick demonstrates on his YouTube channel guitars strung up with different strings, and you can make your own mind up. But yeah, it is possible that thinner strings cut through and they have a particular tightness to the sound, which is great for rock music. So again, it's all a matter of preference really, isn't it? I've got 10s on. Looking for a giant screwdriver. Can't see the giant screwdriver.
The giant screwdriver.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that. You had it today?
Nope.
Is that it?
Yes, I do. Medium-sized screwdriver will do. I'm just going to quickly set the action. I'm guessing, just to get us in the ballpark. I'm going to tune the guitar. We're now into final setup. So this is the last part, guys. Look at that.
It's 3 o'clock.
Look at it. Look! It's awesome. That's a nice looking guitar.
It is actually. That
Let's
one
see if
is
it...
lovely, isn't it?
No signal. Oh, yes, I have.
Actually, someone asked you earlier, just remembered, do you recommend any particular kind of tuner?
Not really, no, I'm not. The best tuner you can get if you're a guitar maker. I'm just using a Fender stage tuner here. These are pretty good, but any tuner will do. If you're a guitar maker, then you tend to spend a bit more money on your tuners. You can get a strobe tuner, which is just more accurate and quicker. But these Fender stage tuners are awesome.
Everybody's saying it's gorgeous.
It is, isn't it? So we always stretch the strings. So what we do is lift it out of the saddle there, lift it all the way down, lift it out of the nut and back down, and I give it a stretch as I go. You'll notice that it's gone quite flat. I do occasionally break one while I'm doing this. So I'll quickly stretch the strings, and then we're into the final setup. So when it comes to setting up a guitar, there's really only 3 jobs. It needs to be in tune for all 3 jobs. So I'm going to tune it in between. So 3 jobs. First job, set the truss rod. Then we set the action, and then we set the intonation. So last 3 jobs. Now when I've done all that, then I will put a drop of glue on the nut and just drop that in. We could also make a cover plate for the truss rod, but for this guitar I'm just going to leave it like that. Looks okay, doesn't it? I might make a truss rod cover for it. Depends on what I'm going to do with the guitar, but I'll just leave it naked for now. So I'm tuning.
Oh, Akila's in the house, and she said, "Has it got it? Have we decided on the name?"
No.
We had some
Got any ideas?
didn't we? We had some submissions earlier in. in the first one, which was like the isolator and Corona Castor.
Yeah, we want to get
people have made those.
Jeff Beck playing it, doing his isolation song with Johnny Depp.
Oh, blimey, Matt in Denver is saying, because I just said it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's 8 a.m.
8 a.m.
So he must have started watching at 6 this morning. Get up.
Wow.
Wow. And Tony, it's quite early, I think, for Tony. Was it late for Tony?
So
that's it, names, isn't it? That's the next. That's on my list.
yeah, so we need a name for the guitar, guys, and we need ideas about what we're going to do with it now it's finished.
Well, there was people were quite keen on the idea of it being raffled. People who've watched it, because they wouldn't. Not many people felt they could buy it outright, so they, raffles a good idea. We'd have to work on that, wouldn't we? The Corona Bane. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Right, so when we put the strings on, it bends the neck. It bends the nut this way. If I was to press down here and push up there, that's kind of what the strings are doing. They're bending the neck this way. So we're going to adjust the truss rod to straighten it out again. And I've got all kinds of fancy straight edges for this, but I'm just going to demonstrate using the actual string as a straight edge. If we hold it at the first fret and the last fret, the string becomes a straight edge. Probably can't see, but you can hear the tick. There's a little gap under the string. What I'm going to do is tighten the truss rod to make this gap as small as possible. It needs to be a small gap. That's what we would call relief. If you hear people talking about relief, beautiful. They're talking about this little gap. So it's very small, but it's probably about twice as much as it needs to be. I would say you're looking, get that gap as small as you can get it without any humps. In a nutshell, that's what you're looking for. Can you zoom out a little bit, please, Carol, while I just tighten the truss rod? So I'm just going to nip it up. Just until it goes tight a little bit more. And then, see, that's gone way too far already. Back it off a bit. There, now I've just got the tiniest of gaps, like 0.02 of an inch. I would say between 0 and the thickness of your thinnest string. Somewhere between 0 and the thickness of your thinnest string is how much relief you want. It depends how hard you play and what style of music you play. But let's just check the tuning again, because obviously that affects the tuning. Tightening the truss rod puts more tension on all of the strings, so they'll all go sharp. So we need to check it again, double check. Tiny gap, looks good. Tiny gap, looks good. So I'm happy with my truss rod. Now I'm going to set my action. So there's two places where I can affect the action. That's here at the bridge and here at the nut. I've already set it quickly, just at the by adjusting the bridge there. I've got an action gauge here. Mine's from StewMac, but you can get them from anywhere. String action gauge. I like to set it from about 1.5 to 1.2 for a electric guitar. So it's a little bit on the low side. Bring it up a bit. .5 to 1.2. And now let's have a look at the nut end. The quick way is just to hold the 3rd fret here. So I'm holding the 3rd fret. It also makes the fret touch down on the 2nd fret. And then I'm looking for the smallest possible gap. There. Look at that. So that's massive. It can be about half that. We want the tiniest gap. Let's have a look at the bass side. See, that doesn't look far away. I think we're pretty close, guys. I've actually got see, that would be good enough, but I've got this super duper gauge here. If you zoom out a little bit, Carol, we can actually measure. I'm looking for about 20 on the bass, 20 to 22, and 10 to 12 on the treble side. So as you can see, I'm getting about 25 on the treble side and about the same on the bass side. Maybe 20, maybe a little bit less on the bass side. So it needs to go down just a little bit on the bass, but quite a lot on the treble side. Now, because it's so close, I'm going to do it individually using individual string slotters. So we could take the nut out and remove material from the bottom of the nut, but it's so close that I think just a few strokes is going to be enough with each file. So let's try that. I always give it a press to make sure that the string's not binding in a slot, and then 20, so another bit more. There we go, about 10 to 12 is what I'm looking for. What is a thousandth of an inch between friends? Right. Nothing, is it? So that's good. I'm going to take the bass side down a tiny bit, and then I'm going to do the ones in between to even them out. Question?
Well, Brad probably is asking where you get them gauges from.
So there are a number of guitar maker suppliers. In the UK, we've got Tone Tech, and in the US we have StewMac, and there are other places. There's actually lots now that have sprung up.
What's it actually called?
This is called a nut height gauge. So I've gone too low now. It's hard to talk and do this at the same time. If you go too low, your string buzzes. So I've got to start again. That's what we call blowing the nut, guys. If you go too low, I'm afraid you just have to start again. Yeah, it's hard to do this and talk.
Well, I won't ask you more questions then. It's live.
It's so accurate.
It's
I'm
live.
trying to work to, you know, thousandths of an inch here.
Right.
And I've lost the spare nut that I had.
There you go, got it?
Yeah. Luckily I've got a bag full of these. What a nightmare.
Life.
Yes, I'm afraid if you want to be a guitar maker, you've got to get good at doing repetitive stuff. Let's try that again. Halfway there on this nut. Two to go. Right, so I want suggestions as well, guys, for upcoming videos. What do you want to see me do? So we want to know what days do you want us, and let's have some ideas of what you want me to do. I've got some ideas myself, so I'm thinking maybe maybe we could start an acoustic build. But I also want to do some little things, some sort of quick things like people were asking about scarf neck. So there's things like that that I could cover in one, in one session. Scarf neck, laminated necks, basically whatever you can think of. I'm thinking that this is the new normal, so we'll be doing more of this. What I need is suggestions and ideas. Okay, so I've got 10 there, 20 there, we're talking thousandths of an inch here, and we've got a graduation in between. I'm now going to glue the nut in. It's very slightly wide as well. I need to just take a tiny bit off there. I don't know if you can see that, but it's sticking out a bit. So I'm going to take a bit off the side of the nut. Here's what I do, Carol. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If I count the turns, I can quickly put it back where it was, roughly into tune. It'll go back roughly into tune. So I'm taking off a bit of material from the side. Test fit. We want it to feel smooth there. That's better.
Can you take a question?
Yeah, let's have a question.
Okay, so Boo Universe was asking. He's got a number 10 file, and he gets some buzz. He has had buzz when he's used that. So should he use a number 8 file instead? Should he use a smaller file? He's got exactly those files. Busco's.
Well, I'm assuming you mean if you've got an 8 gauge string.
No, he's talking about the files, number
Yeah.
10 and number 8.
Yeah, number 10. So you use 10 if you've got a 10 gauge string. If you've got an 8 gauge string, it would be fine. But if you've got a string that's 12 gauge in a 10 slot, then it will bind. So it's okay if the slot is slightly wider than the string, but not if it's slightly narrower. This is my bit of fine, wet and dry again. I'm just going to knock the sharp corners off this nut. And then it's ready. Now, the glue is kept to a minimum. It's not really glued in. The glue is really just there to stop it falling off when you take the strings off. We don't want it to be glued in too well, because this is one of the parts that you want to replace. It needs to be easily replaceable. So I'm just going to put a drop of super glue. Carol? No, can you change the camera, please? I'll set this camera up.
Oh, right, I didn't know that. Right, okay, that's a cute one. There we go.
I'll put some glue on a tool just to make it easier, and then put it in there. I don't need much. Pop it in. And that's it. I'll just hold it for a second. I've got a bit of excess glue on the front there. I'll just get that now. If I can wipe that off quickly with a paper towel. There we go. So I'm going to double check the action, and then we're on the last job, intonation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It shouldn't be too far off from out of tune. We can quickly tune it.
EP was asking super glue. Is it super glue? I think.
Just super glue, yeah, but you could just use white wood glue.
Why do you prefer super glue?
It's quicker. And it releases just with a tap. Whereas white wood glue, you would have to warm it up to release it. Okay, we're back in tune. Now I'm going to set the intonation. So, let me quickly explain intonation. You guys that are players, you all know that when you bend a string, the pitch goes up. Feel how smooth that is. Wow, smooth frets. So when you bend a string, the pitch goes up. We all know that. But what most people don't consider is whenever you press a string down on a fret, you're actually bending the string a little bit. So the pitch goes up just a little bit. It's enough to make it sound out of tune. That's why you'll see most bridges are angled. It actually has more of an effect on a fatter string. So the fatter your string is, the further back the saddle needs to be. So when you press the string down, it raises the pitch slightly. To compensate, there's what we call the intonation adjustment. So compensation for intonation. So this is set back slightly, and that makes it go a little bit flatter. So actually, there's no such thing as a guitar that is perfectly in tune all the way up the frets on every fret. There's all kinds of ways people have tried to make this perfect by having little kinked frets and all that kind of thing, but you can have you can get the intonated nuts. That does help sweeten the tone, but in the end it never bothered Jimi Hendrix, did it, or Eric Clapton or Dave Gilmour or any of my favourite players. They're all quite happy with their guitars and none of their frets are wonky, so it's good enough for me. The guitar is not a perfect design, but it's pretty damn good, isn't it? It's the little imperfections that make it good for me. I love all the little harmonics that go on inside the sound of a guitar. It's beautiful. Yeah, intonation is to compensate for the fact that we don't live in a perfect world. So the 12th fret and the open string should be the same note. We can test that with a tuner. As you can see, if Carol zooms in on it, that's perfect. On the tuner, Carol. Green lights. Just tune it up, check it. There you go. Now, the rule with intonation is, if the fretted note is flat, then you move the saddle forward. So all you have to remember is fret flat forward. Play the open string, play the 12th fret. If it's flat, you move this forward. Obviously if it's sharp, you move it back. Keep retuning and testing until all of the strings are right. Now, because I've fitted so many bridges before and I know exactly where they go, this one has worked out. I haven't got to do any adjustment for the intonation. That's just from experience. So I imagine that if you're making a guitar at home, you would probably have to spend a bit of time tinkering with it. But to me, it's pretty much dead on. If I get it in tune.
Matt Toman's asking you who makes the tuner. What make of tuner is that?
This is a Fender tuner. This is a Fender stage tuner. There we go. Nothing wrong with that, is there? So gorgeous. So
I'm just thinking you could do an unboxing whilst I get the amp out.
I'm just proving that the frets work. I'm running out of fingers. Take my word for it, folks, it feels amazing. So that's what it sounds like before it's plugged in. we'll snip the strings off and maybe fire up an amplifier, and we're also going to open this box, the mystery box from Bag Press.
Whilst you're clipping the strings, you've had a couple of other things. Is that right?
Yeah.
So you've had 2 tea-related questions today.
Tea. I'm gagging for a cup of tea.
Yeah. So somebody's asked. I think it was Oliver. What's the best tea to make? This was way back. What's the
Best tea.
kind of tea to make guitars with?
The best tea is the one you've got in your hand.
Do you like Earl Grey, Mark?
No, I don't like Earl Grey. Earl Grey's not proper tea, is it? Just give me bog standard tea, folks.
And how about fruit tea, Mark?
None of that stuff either. No. Just normal British standard tea.
Okay. And then Theron asked, how many cups of tea would you say you would drink whilst you're making a guitar?
Per guitar?
Yeah.
Well, at least one. But probably more, let's face it. I live on tea. My nickname at school was Beans because I eat lots of beans as well. So beans and tea, that's what you need.
Right, so they're saying they
still
need to hear it in anger. Let's get an amp.
Let's get an amp then, and then we'll do the unboxing.
You want to play it and then do the okay. Getting lots of ideas for people have contributed ideas for future sessions. A real mixed, lots of different answers to when you should do it. I think you could pretty much do it any day and somebody.
My dusty old Marshall, folks. This is the noisiest, rattliest Marshall you'll ever hear. It's my workshop amp, so it does the trick. Let's see if we can get some juice to it.
I don't know where the womble is. Where's the womble?
I've not seen the womble for a while. Oh, come on.
What are you after?
Paoli.
Why don't you?
I know where there is one. In my drawer. What's this then, guys? This is the magic box. We'll get to that in a minute. Oh, no power.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe that lead doesn't work.
There's a bag. See that bag? There. Top bag. Why don't you talk to the camera and I'll...
Well, there's nobody else in there. What do you think of that then, guys? The only thing I didn't do was check the height of the pickup, but I've done it so many times I kind of did it by eye naturally. If you've got 2 pickups on there, what you might want to do is play it and switch between them, and then you can wind these up and down to balance the levels of the pickup. Don't need to do that because I've just got the one, so I just need to make sure that when I play the last note there, make sure it's not hitting the pickup. You might need to wind the pickup down, or you can wind it up a bit if it's if there's plenty of space. You might even be able to get that up a bit. Obviously, the closer it is to the strings, the more sound you'll get. It'll be louder. Just make sure it's not hitting the string. Got power. We both lie silent still in the dead of night. Although we both lie close together, we feel miles apart inside. Was it something I said or something I did? Did my words not come out right? Though I try not to hurt you, though I try, but I guess that's why they say every rose has its thorn. Yeah, we just blew our copyright, folks. Sorry about that. I did that last time. Nobody cared. Yeah, I didn't mean to do that. That just happened. It's live. I can't take it back. So anyway, there you go. Yeah,
somebody wanted it up to 11.
I should have had some guitar lessons, eh, folks? I haven't played that for about 20 years.
Niall's back online, so I'm still here, so I want to know what I used to say about your guitar style. But you can't say rude words.
I can't say it. I'd get banned off the internet.
Sounds great. Play some more.
Yeah, I should learn to play something, shouldn't I?
Woohoo!
Can I go now?
No, you've got to say Rudy. I've got to get his name right. Rudy. Rudy van Assen is building. He's doing a father-son build in Netherlands as a homeschool project thing. First father-son project. And it's really helped me.
Beautiful.
So thank you, Sam.
Absolutely fantastic.
And
thanks for watching. And if you found something useful about it, then brilliant.
And
that's what I'm here for.
So whilst we're on that, I wanted you to say about next year. We're going to have 2021 definitely, because we've got another father and son, Jeff and his son. They're coming. They've booked in for 2021.
Right. So yeah,
so
assuming the zombie apocalypse does come to an end at some point, we will be running workshop courses. We're already taking bookings for next year.
Jeff,
so
and this boy, he's coming.
Yeah. If you want to get yourself on a workshop course, contact us, Mark at baileyguitars.co.uk or Carol at Bailey Guitars.
And Jeff's doing a home build with his son, right?
Fantastic. Good luck, folks.
And as for 2021 also, DJ says that we're the charity because he wants to come and build a 335. So we've got to keep open.
So 335's coming.
Woohoo!
Watch this space.
Right.
Wow, we did it, folks. We got to the end of the 5-day lockdown special. Look at it.
Beauty.
Look at that.
We've got some names like Lockdown Lily, or LL.
Yeah, I hope you guys found something useful in that.
Fred, Mahogany, May Hogany, and Mike Abbott suggested CV19, but I said that's a place.
That's the serial number, CV19.
Oh yeah, and Theron's saying that hopefully him and his son Joe are going to come. We've gone all fathery and sunny. Woohoo! Beautiful. Any questions? Any last guitar making questions?
Rock and roll. So, wow, it's not right, is it? So, let's put that on that stand there, and let's see what's in this box. So I've got a feeling I know what's in here. Should I guess? I think that there's some patterns in here. Carol?
Don't.
Don't make me say it. What have we got in the box? What's in the box?
No, says put a mustard cover on that.
What is in the box? What is it? Well, it's well wrapped. Look at that. Patterns, folks. Right. Some people have been asking about patterns. So Darren has kindly offered to CNC these up for us. And it looks like he's done a full set here. Full set of patterns for the Bailey Bandsman.
Wow!
Wow. So he's even laid some up for us. So there's 3 patterns in one on there. 4 if you include the controls there. Oh, he's even included the bridge. So you saw the way I made this guitar. I was just doing it piecemeal, piece by piece. But you can lay up, if you were making lots of guitars with 2 pickups, say, you can lay up your patterns like this and have more than one pattern per pattern, if you see what I mean. More than one pattern per pattern. So there's the rear cavities, the front cavities, the whole lot. Nice and smooth. So not all CNCs are equal, guys. Look at that.
How's it? Nice.
Yep. Beautiful. So
Really nice,
these are looks like about 9mm thick, is that? No, it's 12mm thick. Ideal. Perfect, half an inch thick. So they're ideal for our cutters because the cutter's half an inch long. So perfect, brilliant. So we're going to be putting these, we're going to get these on our site as soon as possible, available to buy. Yeah, we're working on putting an extensive library together of these patterns. I've got a whole rack full, hundreds of different shapes, which I would really love to be able to share with you guys. So we need to scan them in and turn them into drawings, and then Darren has kindly offered to actually make the patterns for us. So that's fantastic. So you saw me using similar things with double-sided tape. So this is the double-sided tape we use. It's NEC approved. This is also going on the website. So just to make it a bit easier for you guys to find. And that's it. So please share it, subscribe, do all the YouTube-like stuff.
You've got one more. You've got one more parcel.
One more parcel?
Yeah, because I think you should.
I didn't know there was another parcel.
There is. You'll have to put Darren's just to one side because I'll bring it in. Seriously.
Well, apparently there's another parcel, folks. I don't know if YouTube can take this excitement. YouTube wasn't built for this kind of excitement, was it? What is this?
That's what Moira
Where
delivered.
did this come from?
That's what Moira delivered. Wait.
Oh, we've had a care package.
Woohoo, Moira!
Carol.
Oh. Thank you, Moira. Oh, I think that's yeah, it's a memory stick.
Sorted. Right, that's me sorted then, folks. I'm off.
They're a bit warm because they've been in the sun, but thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Cheers, folks. That's me done. I'm
Let
off
you know.
to enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Yeah, I hope you guys do that too. Enjoy the rest of the day, folks. Carol's going to fade to black.
Oh yeah.
We're done. Thank you so much for watching. And if you stuck around till the end, then
Extra medals.
yeah, extra brownie points.
Yeah.
Major brownie points.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. I'll see you on Wednesday, if not before. Look out for a few surprise live streams. But we're back to Workshop Wednesdays. We'll have a think about what other days we're going to do. But let us know in the description what day do you want us and what do you want us to do. What would you like us to cover? Thanks, folks. Give you a last shot of the guitar.
Woo!
Check it out. Mark of quality.
Guitars where the Gulf Stream flows. His artisan's hands shape the wood and the bone, fashioned from the stars like no